Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark. I'm an alcoholic. Uh, thank you all very much for having me. Lauren, thank you very much. That was a very wonderful intro. Got me even more nervous and got goosebumps, and I appreciate it. We had a very lovely coffee, and yeah, I was going through some hard stuff at that time, but really because of the program, I am able to be present, and I am able to, I think one of the gifts I've been given from my parents and from my higher power is whenever I do try to talk to anybody, I want to make them feel like they're the most important person in the room. I think that's a very everybody wants that. Everybody wants to feel wanted. I think that's a really good feeling. And what I'm going to talk about tonight is a little bit of how I've come to understand that. And I think we're talking about step six. I hope. Okay, cool. Because I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a sweet audible. So step six, we are entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Um, that's it's a lot. It is a lot. Um, and I'm on Chat GPT today. I'm reading from the 12 and 12 today. I'm going over this small paragraph that they have in the big book about this today. I'm making notes and I'm going over this and I'm like, how what do you say? Because this is such a step of readiness. It's a step of surrender. It's a step of humility. It's a step of really, I don't I like to where the rubber meets the road. I don't really like in the big book when they say when the men from the boys or whatever, let's be a little bit more inclusive these days. So it's when it's gonna get real serious. And the beautiful part about these steps are you go through four, you make a list of all your people that you have resentments towards, and then you work on that for however long I worked on it. And um, step five, I met with my sponsor, thank God, and we went over the resentments. And my sponsor's job was to put all these what we call defects of character together. And the common theme that we came up with in my four step was Mark is full of fear. Mark is entitled. Mark is, he's pretty self-seeking. He likes to play the victim, and sometimes he can come off very ingenuine. So, these are just a couple to mention. There are obviously others, but what's crazy about these defects of character are for 30. I'm 37 years old. For 34 and a half years, whatever it is, this was my armor. These were the things that I thought were such survival mechanisms. They kept me safe in times of need. And for a guy that came from a wonderful family, and a lot of love and this, that, and all the good stuff. I don't know why these things got to be turned up to 10. These normal human um, traits that we all get born with, where we all get, that's a part of our environment. I mean, I just find the alcoholic, their characters, these character traits. Everybody's got different ones, but mine personally, they get ramped up to 10. And so we go through the fifth step, and then we get to six. And we have to talk about willingness. How willing am I to be entirely ready to have God remove not some of these defects of characters. Okay, we're talking about all of them. And what I love about the steps is, and I'm sure a lot of us have heard this. It is all, this is progress. This is not perfection. These things, they happen to me. Okay, I got in a little thing today with my girlfriend. She has a little Chihuahua. All right, it's not my favorite of all dogs in the world. And I have a German Shepherd. And the German Shepherd, right off the bat, is just going to be the bad dog because it can start it and it can also end it. And this little Chihuahua, let me tell you, it's got a little mouth on it. And I was like, babe, I don't know what we're going to do about these dogs. But, I just saw right then and there, I can go on with the story, but everybody can probably figure out where this went. I had to, the beautiful part about having two people that are in the program is we both paused. We both paused. We both, collected ourselves. And, I said a quick prayer to my higher power and I said, be sensitive, be compassionate, be empathetic. This is her animal. This is my animal. No one's wrong here. We're not animals. But I had to kind of turn that over right then and there because my defects of character were just to attack, attack, attack. Your dog did this. Your dog did that. This, that. Why don't you train the thing? Why don't you get a schedule? Just bang, bang, bang. What is that going to do? It's going to have her walk out the door. I'm never going to talk to you again. And there it goes. That's not obviously what I want. So, I take a quick second, talk to God. I got to bring God into the situation. And we had just a good talk about it. And we put a game plan together about how we're going to operate these things. We're going to do some training. We're going to bring, trainer involved. And I'm already doing dog training. So we're going to incorporate him and so on and so forth. But I didn't have these skills before. I didn't have it before because I went into full flight or fight. And my default 90% of the time was depending on who I was talking to. If it was my parents, flight. I just curl up like a little boy and, I crawl under my desk. If it was someone else, it's pure fight. We're going to go at it and this ain't going to stop until it's one of us is bleeding. That was my go-to. And, because of the steps, I have the ability to stop these things. So we have willingness, we have readiness. I've heard, I start my day with prayer and prayer and meditation really help with this. And, I don't know if any of you all have read, Drop the Rock. That was a big thing of my sponsors. And then as we got closer to the 10th step, we read Drop the Rock, the ripple effect. And that's how, Drop the Rock is all about incorporating 6 and 7 into my daily life. And, the ripple effect is all about how does step 10 help me work 6 and 7 to the best of my ability? So it's been a while, so I'm not going to quote anything from this. But what I remember is if I can have at the end of my day, at the start of my day and at the end of the day, set my motives for the day. Ask God to help me and direct my thinking for his will, her will, whatever you want to call God, okay, to your understanding, whatever works for you. If I can do that to the best of my ability and get out of my way, pause when I see that this entitlement, this selfishness, this self-seeking, these fighting behaviors, these victimization, these dependent characteristics of mine come up. If I can pause and ask for my higher power help and direct my thinking to be softer, easier, lead with emotion rather than combative words, I'm going to get a little further. If I can be vulnerable in situations and ask for help, I will usually get compassion in return. Um, I've found, as a young man, um, it was very hard for me to be vulnerable. It was also hard for me to like accept people's compassion because I thought they were pitying me. Um, which because of the steps, working with, working in AA, going to treatment, working with a sponsor, and doing all these things and changing my behaviors, and on a daily basis, I found I am way more accepting of these things. So I digress. I wake up in the morning, I set my intentions, and then at the end of the night, I do a thorough 10 step through with, and then 11 with prayer and meditation. I think about my day, and I see when these defects of character came up. And, if I was wrong, I really try to go back to these people and I say, I'm wrong. Hey, babe, I'm sorry about the dog. I was emotional. I wanted to go into problem solving, but whatever it might have been. Um, I have a way better, I have a way better ability to work these things, work these steps on a daily basis, and really trying not to only pinpoint just certain defects of character. Because I find, some days it's like, I've heard in the rooms before, it's like each week we're going to pick a card of a defect of character and just work on that defect for the week. Well, that I have a lot of defects, and they come out on a daily basis, all at once. Sometimes 10 of them at once, sometimes just one of them at a time, whatever it is. But the step says all. Am I ready to give up all of these defects of character? And that's the hard part of this. That's the hard part, but that's also the work. That's the work that I signed up for. To be a man of integrity, to be a man of, for lack of a better explanation, like to be a sober man. You know, there's, I like to hang. I have a guy that I hang out with, and he always says, Mark, what would the sober man do in this situation? And I'm like, I don't, are you playing like what? You playing games with me? Like I guess not drink. And he's like, no, 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 man. It's way more than just that. It's way more than just, once God, the biggest thing that held me back was the drinking and the drugging. It was huge. God had the ability to take that burden off of my shoulders and he removed that obsession. It's huge. Once that comes into play, it's like, okay, now here's real life. If God was it, if my higher power was that powerful to take away that obsession that ruled me for 34 and a half years, that took me down dark alleys, that did this, ended relationships, so on and so forth, whatever it might have been that happened to me. And um can I ask him to help me with this? Can I now ask him to help me be a good person now? And I think that's a big part of this. I didn't get into recovery to be the same, that guy. I didn't sign up to be an ass. I didn't. I want to be a different person. And I'm going through the steps, 1, 2, 3, 12, to change the way I think, to change my behaviors, to change the way I interact with people, the way I want to live my life. I want to live my life like a man of God, a sober man. And that is not only being sober from alcohol and drugs, but it's wrong thinking. It's bad thinking. Um, I don't want ill will. Um, and I keep repeating it, but these steps are in line the way they are to help me combat these ill thinking on a daily basis, because my first thought is usually not good. And, my second thought isn't either. Really, the fourth or fifth. But the fourth or fifth thought is usually good because I call 4 or 5 people beforehand. I talk to the really, I have a great relationship with my sponsor. I started going through the steps again. I'm doing this workbook now. And this thing it's a workbook. And I just finished step 1. And the beautiful part about this is it's a humbling thing again. I'm ready to do this. The first time I went through the steps, I had to go through the steps. Now I want to go through the steps. And I'm seeing them in a whole new light. I'm seeing this whole new thing in my relationship with my sponsees and sponsor. It's turning into this whole different, beautiful, natural, organic relationship. And spiritual growth, how long this, I said it before, my higher power had the ability to remove the biggest kind of tragedy that ever happened to me and turn it into pretty much one of my biggest successes. I don't have much time. I just celebrated 3 years, so I'm very new in this whole thing. However, in 3 years, so much has changed. Relationships with everybody, the way I think, and step 6 being a huge part of this. But the way I go about my life on a daily basis, the way I show up for people, the way I show up for significant others, the way I show up as a son, as a brother, as an employee, as a brother in the program for men and women I do this shoulder to shoulder with, it wouldn't be possible without a spiritual connection. So, I can go on and on. I said I'm going to keep this like short and sweet a little bit. And, I let's keep it at that. I believe in the steps. I believe in Alcoholics Anonymous. I believe in the power that Caron had given me when I finally came to. I fully surrendered. I can't say enough about this program, and yeah, I hope I said a little something that works tonight. So I really appreciate it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I'm going to take you off the